Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Horsemanship Remark Show. Still summer 2023, and I know it's been hot for a lot of you. Us too in the valley, although, like I mentioned on Facebook, perfect at the beach still. But we are finally getting a bit of a cool down, which is just lovely. Good morning. Oh my gosh, Jeannie, Joanne, Bill. Oh, I'm so jealous of your trip. Mike, you need to tell us more about your book. Is that your book? Michael Sparling's here. Corey's here. Val, good morning. Debbie, are you excited? Oh my gosh. Okay, let's add Michael. Susan, oh my gosh. Tell me what you're thinking about Horsemanship Insider. Can't wait to hear all about it. Okay, there we go.
Where am I?
Good morning. I am slightly wound up this morning.
Sounds like it.
So let's hear what's going on with you first. I'm going to get better.
Why are you wound up? Tell everyone.
Oh.
I know, but not everyone.
So as soon as we are done, Susan says she loves Horsemanship Insider. Yay! Oh my gosh. Tell me your favorite video so far. And then Debbie and I, by the way, are going to do the push for filming for the rest of the season through February, hopefully. So we need to get everybody's favorite ideas in. We will be working on that on our long drive. So Debbie and I
will talk to you on your long drive. How long is your drive? Okay. I will talk to you before you get there.
Good, because I'm bringing my notebook and we have time to hammer out the plan. So after the show, I'm going to feed the ponies and then I'm going to put my stuff in the car and go to Debbie's because we are heading down to Litchfield, California. And it's 20 miles east of Susanville because we are going to pick up Feather, the mule, the little yearling. I still cannot believe it, Michael. So we're going to stay overnight at some casino, I guess, in Susanville. And then, yeah, right. I know. I was like, oh my gosh, this was so not, but I'm justifying it because of the adoption incentive, right? And then it's less expensive. And continuing education that I really would have trouble replacing. What I keep coming back to, Michael, is being so excited for a clean data set.
What's odd though is it's going to be such a unique data set. Like you're still going to have to go back and do like a more standard data set, like a boring, I don't know, won't be boring, but a horse. That's not what.
But that's easy to do. That is in the sense that there's plenty. In fact, they're like, hey, do you want to take a yearling home? Because she's living with the fillies. They're like, you can take a filly with you too. So hopefully there's nothing that is like, wow, because how hard will it just be like.
Spot in the trailer, open and available.
Will be there and open. Oh my Lord. But what I mean though, Michael, is the clean data set about the mule. Because I'm so curious about how their minds work, how they're different, how they're similar. And I feel like getting a clean data set in that vein is tricky.
Yeah, it's very easy to find a mule that has bad habits already.
At the very least has some thoughts about things. And while the process of changing their mind is exciting and cool, and I need to know more about that too, I would like to know what they're like by themselves. So that is the part that makes me feel confident that I did the right thing, because it's going to satisfy it's just a huge opportunity. Wouldn't you agree? Am I missing something about, so anyway, that's what's on.
Well, yeah, it's a huge opportunity if you want to collect a whole smattering of horses, which you don't mind doing. I don't know that it's so saying I wanted to jump on such an opportunity. Well, now I have a whole smattering of horses that I don't know that I really want one of everything.
And I do. Yeah, because
yeah. I don't mind working with one of everything, but I don't want to collect one of everything.
You're telling me you don't want to feed 11 head?
Nope.
I'll have to think about why not. I'm already like, okay, I need to organize. But I'm so excited. It really is the time to do this. It's absolutely, I think, the right thing. It's a lot. It's so physical, riding that many horses. And I told Graham, who's one of the guys that rides with me, that I would do that lucky mule. So he's going to come over to Debbie's, which I have not told him yet. But so he'll bring Lucky over to Debbie's, and then I'll be feeding Feather in the morning, and I'll do something with her and then do Lucky, I think is my plan. So that'll be interesting, because he's the mule too, but with some drama.
Mm-hmm. Compare and contrast.
Yeah, Lisa says good morning. She thinks it'll be cool. I know. I'm so excited. So, anyways,
So what happened then, aside from being excited about Feather?
I taught the
What happened this
week. That
week?
was the big thing. It was so fun.
Do tell.
It was hot. Oh my gosh, because we did it at the campus with no cover, which I do not like. I do not want to be doing that. I'm so grateful to have the campus and so glad to be there, but full sun at all for 8 hours, 2 days in a row is just not my favorite. You would not have liked it because it was 105. Yeah.
Oh,
but we did have
a breeze,
so that was amazing. And my people are not babies. Not implying that yours are, but I was just so proud of everybody because no one was whining and no one was complaining. It was great. It's so amazing to see people's progress. The clinic was freaking hot. Yeah, I know. It was hot. Elisa made amazing changes with her horses too. But it's just cool to see everybody progressing. And it was the first time I taught off of Katniss here. So it was really fun. Michael. So I brought her and Bonnie. They were so loud. Oh my gosh, your horse was whinnying like crazy. I know. I was like, I kept thinking, I need a video of this for Michael. Of course, when I had her, she was fine, right? But
okay. Yeah. That makes better sense. I'm like, I've never had her lose herself distracted by another horse when I'm on her.
But yeah.
And I suppose she's, yeah. I don't know that she's been hauled that much with another horse, left in the stall, separate from that horse. Like, she hasn't had that experience yet. She's always got a whole the rest of the herd when she's left. She's never been alone in a stall.
She was plenty close enough to see what was going on, but she was loud, and then Bonnie was whinnying. I'm like, you guys, this is part of it. So we're like, shh, so quiet. So then, of course, she'd put the other one in the stall, and that one would be whinnying, but they were good. But anyway, she's fun to teach off of, and it's pretty cool to I think that I don't know, there's just something neat about having her be a very like this long thread through our history and connecting me to you and connecting me to all you guys there. And now this horse is, I don't know, it just feels like a connection. It's very cool. Corey says it was toasty, but Emma kept us busy. It was easy to forget you were getting heat exhaustion. That's cool. Yes. We had to, like, I had to set a timer to drink water. I got pretty behind on water on Saturday. I know, because
Don't do
I
that.
had my water, but it was just 20 feet away instead of right there. And that was all the difference. And then, of course, we had the realtor says yes barbecue afterwards. So that was pretty cool. Shout out to Isaac and Lori, who did an amazing job pulling that off. But, you know, I think the highlight to me, well, there's a couple. One of the things I just think is super noteworthy, and you have this experience as well, but I really think it bears talking about, just that the students that have not only been riding with me now for a year and 3/4, but they've been all together mostly. You know, some people have missed clinics here and there, but really they've all been together. And that the confidence level that comes from being in a familiar student body where they feel safe. You guys tell me if that's it. It really is. And then what I did too is I kind of started doing this before, but kind of on the last hour of class, so it's 3-hour class, but at the last hour of class in the afternoon class, which is the advancing horsemanship class, kind of doing sets, so everybody would get like 10 minutes at a time to really make a change. But I think that works if everyone's comfortable with each other, is the ideal situation. So anyway, Joanne, you looked really sharp teaching off of her. Thank you, Debbie, for taking pictures. Yeah, Debbie and Nancy Ratliff, Lisa's mom. Yeah, Katniss is pretty clutch because she is the perfect color. In terms of foot, and that sounds dumb, but you have to get a white horse white. And the black horse is tricky because the light has to be correct.
Mm-hmm. In order to see what else happening muscle wise.
Exactly. Yeah. So, is it
that? I mean, if I was a white horse, I don't want a white horse. A gray horse.
The white horse is the best to see, no doubt. But in terms of like having an idea and then just being able to whip it out, not always.
Yeah. Got to polish the horse up first. Oh man, had a question. What did you just say last?
And people
before. Oh, yes. So definitely same experience. I have a few different groups: the standard group at the barn, the folks in Canada, you know, the up north crew that you know all of them. That they all kind of know each other now and have come one larger. Everybody's comfortable with one another, but these little pockets that study together on a regular basis. So I completely hear what you're saying.
I knew you would.
On that. Fantastic. What's cool, in addition to that, particularly with the groups that I have the pleasure of working with and have seen them grow, is watching them be excited and welcoming to someone new, and like almost right away they suck that person into feeling comfortable as a part of their things because they're so enthusiastic about them being there, about their interest in learning, and like wanting to encourage them right off the bat. So that's really kind of an additional fun thing to watch, the community that they have as a study group that rides together regularly, just kind of making someone else right off the bat feel pretty comfortable, but just is fun to watch. It's a very different thing when I have them in a boot camp or a clinic, and then there's another couple people, as opposed to a whole clinic of folks that don't really know each other, that are all getting started, or a couple that I've worked with before. It's just this mix, and there's not that centering element that makes everyone feel welcome. So particularly, the up north crew is
I
very, very good at that.
agree. I was talking about them. Well, because I was so excited, Susan. I was telling Kip, but she's so awesome. They're also. Oh, and who else was I talking about? Oh, I was talking to somebody about Alaska and dressing warmly, and then I was just mentioning that they know how to dress even in winter. So, the other interesting thing, Michael, as a teacher, that I wanted to pass on or talk to you about is so one of my friends in class is making progress. Like, it's so obvious year over year, and she is on it for sure, but she doesn't think she's making progress, or because the result is not a finished product yet, or it's pretty subtle to her that her technique is maybe improving or whatever. And I'm like, look, girl, you have to just believe, because it is clear as day to me that this is all. And it's a little bit like being able to say that about a horse. Well, he's about to make a change, or you're about to have a consistent result. This is happening, when the person up there might not be able to feel it, which I could be in the same boat in that case too. But that was really interesting to be able to see without a doubt, not just like in an encouraging way, or I know, I believe that you can get this. Debbie, can I tell the story about you in the soft field? Tell me if it's okay for me to say that. This particular thing is not about her, but the the sureness and the excitement, I hope, came across.
Yeah. And it's
simple.
it becomes so incremental, particularly, as you've been working with someone for quite some time, that it takes some repeats, just like it does in the beginning, but the changes are perhaps a little bit more obvious when you're going from not at all it to starting to get there. The changes become so much more incremental that it does take the repeats for you to even consistently be sure or perceive what the change that's happening underneath you, that you've, particularly with some coaching, been able to accomplish, but you don't, like, it's so subtle, you don't even know what you have just accomplished without some more words, some repeats, to where you're like, oh, okay, I think I feel what you're, and then you're going, I think I feel, or I'm gonna have to feel that a few times before it's I know I've got it, versus was that just a fluke, or maybe I'm just imagining it, or yeah. So trusting your instructor that you're getting there, even when you're not sure
And
you are,
even when
is something.
at times it's not showing up in your horse, which it usually does, but you can see a person adjusting their technique. Like, I just think of like how you're using your flag, or where your hand position is on the leading rein or something like that. Like, I can see that the trajectory went from like here to here, or the way you use your flag instead of being like this is like, a little bit more smooth, but the person can't necessarily connect all of those changes in their body, even though they're making them. So it's so satisfying to me,
Yeah.
when someone believes me. And I'm like, just keep doing what you're doing. Keep trying, keep focusing. It is working.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
You are getting it.
The other thing I wanted to ask,
Because I just mentioned the repeats, so you can feel it. It's kind of thinking riding and changes in the horse underneath you, but the same can be on the ground. Like, you can make adjustments and kind of see it, but then it takes repeats for the horse to, and takes you being consistent in your request to help the horse get it, but it takes repeats for the horse to go, oh, this is what you want, with confidence. So then you can go, okay, I am seeing it because it's consistent, right? So it's you changing that position and then having enough repeats log that you can see the effect, which is, I guess, what you're saying. Like you're confident and can see that that's going to come through just with the adjustments made in the person.
Yeah. And I guess I'm also partially referring to like the person feeling like they are getting their techniques better. Not because you know how the
Yeah.
horse can kind of fill in too a bit, right? Is like the horse can be like figuring it out. The person is impatient, especially. I'm so glad you and I talked about this all those years ago where we were so mad because we knew what we wanted our bodies to do. And it was just not coming as fast as we could think about it. Remember that? I'm so glad we were able to support each other through that. And then being able to say that to the crew, it's like it's okay. It is normal for you to be able to intellectualize a concept and then for it to take some time for you to get your body to do it. And the other thing I noticed, Michael, about teaching that just really stood out to me is how much me asking questions of the student, which I've mentioned this before, and then the student being willing to talk it out with me, because this is not just like laying over a concept, do this, do that. Then you're stuck in mechanics. And so when a person is dissatisfied with maybe their understanding of how to apply it or something like that, and one particular example, she felt like she had the technique correct, but she still wasn't getting maintain gait, which was true. But it took a little back and forth to suss out that what she wasn't understanding was neutral and active neutral. And that absolutely was the key. And if you ask enough questions, you will be able to the teacher will be able to figure out the missing piece. But I don't know how you would do that if it was just like, you must do this, you must do that, here's the technique. Because you don't know what's going on in the person. Or like, how many times have we said, are you, is that your neutral, or are you still asking for go, or what does that feel like? How did you feel? Like you have to ask questions of the person so that you can connect with what they're experiencing, right? So, so Taylor, right? What I'm learning to consistency with Denny on the ground. Yeah. Is that Sadie?
Debbie. That is Sadie. She's got the cone of shame on right now. So she's like, I'm worried she's going to knock something over and pull down the setup here, because she doesn't always know how big her head is right now. The nice thing is she doesn't feel shameful. She's like totally accepting it. Like, well, this is just my life now.
Why does she have a
cone
cone?
on. She has I don't know if it's little allergies that she's licking, or if she scraped her, like up in her flank, scraped it on something, and now she's licking it and making it worse. So she's gonna have to wear that for a few days here and let that heal up. Debbie did say talk about Regalo.
But really I'm going to talk about you. And your frustration. The short version of this, the Regalo portion was just letting basically we use Katniss and the Noah's Arks concept to think about that, you know, putting the horse in balance without overly shortening. You need to have the horse on all 4 feet first and maintaining gait, and then you can just ask the head to slot in. And Debbie had enough going on that we could for sure accomplish that. Speaking of Noah's Arks, do you have any comments about that?
Well, related specifically to what you're saying, and I mentioned this the other day, I don't know that I have more to share on it, but it'd be interesting to think through, because I haven't necessarily thought through in a systematic collecting data over multiple horses kind of way. But Willow, the Palomino I've been working with, that everything was kind of a need to throw the head in the air, kind of get a little crow hoppy, just kind of scattered and bouncing around, trying to do Noah's Arks without helping to shape her a little bit longitudinally. And then what is kind of your metric against which you can say, I can get it off the inside rein, them maintaining gait, it's not so far gone, them being kind of up and out here.
So how
That I get it without the support of the inside rein. Because the whole idea, you're saying, like, before I pick up, the 2 reins and shorten the rectangle, we need to be balanced on all 4 feet, maintaining gait. Well, at what point do you say, this horse needs help? Like, I can't expect them to be able to go forward off just the inside rein or just even straight without saying, look, something other than this. Like, they're just not going to find it, and trying to help them find it without encouraging them. In this case, it was what worked and worked well. Wouldn't maybe always be your answer, but was coming in with that outside rein and saying, this is not part of the deal that's going to help us get there. So I don't know. I haven't really thought through it, like I said, but maybe you have some thoughts on it, having just worked on it recently in the context of helping several people, different horses.
Yeah, and that was really, really cool, because the different body styles, and yet another reason to do sets. So that, because such an education for everyone to watch the different body styles, because then you can understand the concept without fixating. Oh, the other thing, Corey, are you here this morning? Oh yeah, she is. So the other thing that was so fun is Corey being like, because she really got this, I feel like, in a way that it's like, when I say do a change of direction, or when I say do a Noah's Arks or something like that, there is a reason. It's not just to do the movement, and that is a big deal when someone understands that. So for Noah's Arks, I feel like the short serpentine is really important at walk. And the reason I would say that is because they learn to follow a rein folded. Mm-hmm. And then the delineator between just letting the pattern work for you and helping, to me, is if a horse has specifically learned to actively stick their nose out or down or something. And in other words, if your rectangle is 11 feet long and you're doing the Noah's Arks and they're suddenly purposefully making it 12 feet long, then you'd be like, nope, this is not about lengthening the rectangle. It's about shortening it on your own to make a smaller arc. It's certainly nothing to do with lengthening it. So that's where sometimes I would come in with the outside rein. And then, of course, I would say the more skilled you get, the more you're going to be able to feel around for using this.
So you're saying rather than, I mean, you think of folks just kind of getting initially the concept of how to present a soft feel, how to not be tight in your arms, just kind of holding and waiting, and the difference between a horse kind of feeling that and not responding. Okay, now we can do our serpentines, or particularly when we talk about Noah's Ark, they're feeling that inside brain, but they're not really there yet, softening laterally and maybe hopefully longitudinally, versus someone picks up a soft feel very beginning, they're trying to sort out what the hell a soft feel even means or looks like, and how to present that in a way that's inviting to the horse, and the horse actively goes like that. Well, then they're just in the midst of this, and you're saying now you gotta like anchor up, hold up without being tight and firm and hard. But that's the sort of contrast between we're not giving versus we feel the rein and we're actively going against it.
And to me,
you would say,
mm-hmm.
kind of a,
and that's where understanding the length of the rectangle is so important, whatever length you've set. And Bonnie was a really good example, I feel like, on the ground, just because like so we were backing off the slaughter truck. It would have been the same if I was riding her, but because it's like, well, you set the front of the rectangle, don't pull your nose into the rectangle. That has nothing to do with it, right? But it would be the same concept if you define the front of the rectangle and then they're like sticking their out.
mm-hmm.
And you could even say if they're diving their head down too, although that's really not going to happen. The arc should cure that. So
Mm-hmm.
when a person is just learning to set the rectangle in a appropriate way, in an accurate way, of course, I would definitely say at walk would and intellectually for the human to understand, like, this is what we're doing. We are not pulling the nose into the rectangle. You might be pulling the nose so that it gets to the rectangle, but not into the rectangle. And I don't know how else to solve that other than for them to understand it.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly. There is a very good example of where you would see you've changed your technique. It's not coming through the horse yet, but I know it will based on how you have changed how you're holding the reins. But that's a really tough one for people to, for anyone to feel for, is like thinking about a horse that has actively learned to lock their jaw and just put up, and this is just my lot in life for right now. Eventually the reins are gonna go loose, our ride will be over, whatever. This one gal, well, numerous horses. We have Kara's daughter Layla has a pony that had been gamed on, ridden with a tie down, ridden with shank bit, and did not have a concept of the soft field. Could not back up without a pull, like pretty strong pull. And just the time it's taken for him to make that decision when it's just like, this is just what I do, right? And another horse, you've met Ted. His horse was, ridden English and poorly so, but I think was a school horse for a while and just knew how to lock his jaw and put up with that. And so this gal that's in boot camp this week, same thing, just trail ridden poorly. And the horse is just so convinced that I don't have to change anything. Right? And then you're just getting this person to kind of appreciate and kind of intellectually understand, and begin to make the adjustments physically in the way they're presenting it, not pulling, holding, but not without tension, just being stable, tying it into your core, whatever, all of that. And then you go, okay, now we have to increase the pressure because this is not enough for your horse to feel like there's any motivation to change here. We've been leaning on this for quite a while, and this is par for the course standard. This is just what he's comfortable with. So now we have to increase that pressure without, still not thinking of it as pulling the horse in. Because we say, well, you're not pulling on him, he's pulling or pushing on you. Like he's doing this to himself. But now you need to increase the pressure just a little bit, not a lot, without it. They're just starting to get this concept, and it's like, well, now we need to increase it more, but don't have it feel like
that's
you're
where the
pulling.
arc, I feel like, helps.
Yeah. And here we were just talking, giving them the concept, helping them sort it out at a standstill. First idea of kind of conceptualizing what a soft feel is and how to present it. So to say, let's do this on an arc, and, trot around or whatever.
For the person to get the feeling, I think, for a horse that's conditioned to preserve themselves with it, a lot or a little brace or whatever. To me, like the groundwork that you could do, is so everything off of one rein to put it on the menu so that it doesn't take forever. Ideally, it will at least cross their mind as something else. But do you ever pick up this lever strap for that person so that they can feel that, the slotting in?
Pick up the slobber strap while they have the reins. I definitely have put it on the menu. They're in the saddle. I've kind of been messing with it, having limited success, wondering if they're doing it right. Maybe they are doing it right, maybe they aren't. They're kind of making adjustments, and picked up the slobber strap and said, okay, horse, let me put this on the menu for you so you have a concept. Yesterday with this particular horse, I picked up the reins just from the ground, reaching over the horse's mane, over their neck, and said, just try to watch, as much as I can, standing beside the horse, how much this is tied into my core, and it's not just me pulling, but watch me increase the pressure, waiting for the horse then to go, okay, this pressure is a little bit more than I'm used to. So I have supported that in certain ways. I don't know that grab the slobber strap while they are holding the reins, trying to help the horse find it. But yeah, putting it on the menu is for sure helpful, whether it be the halter or better translation, the slobber
just so
strap
that I don't think that I've done, well, Corey, I guess I've done that with you, but it was more about feeling for her horse to sit, to to come back, to bend the hocks,
definitely,
right? But I'm
just sit there and feel. Let me move your horse.
Yeah,
just sit there and feel for the change.
It is tricky to think, okay, look, this is the front of the rectangle, but I do think it bears like harping on. Don't you think everybody can like understand that in the end? If that's like, there's such a difference between the horse either pulling themselves in or sticking it out or just slotting in there. And that was where Regalo was a really good example of everything else had to be correct. But honestly, for Debbie, like I don't think, and Debbie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that she had never really felt what it was like to set the front of the rectangle a little bit shorter at that point, a little bit shorter than he was traveling, but he was so apt because the arcs were there. So he was apt to compress, but what it feels like when they do it. And that was like the big verbiage to her was just listen to me. And because we are not going to make him do it. It's no good. You could insist that they bend a leg, or that they don't stick their nose out, or that they do follow right. Like you can insist on certain things, But when it comes to slotting into a soft field, that has to come from their mind, as far as I can tell.
Maybe, how early on can you run across, either because a coach tells you it, or you hear it in a clinic, or maybe you've read it in, some article or Ray or Tom's book, set it up and let them find it. Well, that's really everything you're doing, is setting them up and letting them find it. It's just how tight isn't the best word, but how
Exacting, I think, is what.
how exacting are the parameters, no matter what it is, right? Like how, like, okay, so we're talking about soft heel here. That's kind of a little bit more obvious one, in the context of what kind of feel are you presenting, whether it be, slotting in on arcs in one rein to now we're picking up two, maybe supporting the outside rein, or moving forward, or standing still, or whatever, putting a little feel there and saying, it's up to you, horse, to make that change. I'm not going to try to make you make that change. All the way to helping folks yesterday reshape their horse from going around with their nose to the outside, and just like it's a circle, but it's not really a circle, not from my perspective or the horse's perspective. It's just going through motions, the horse going, this is what we do, but she doesn't care how I do it. And going, okay, set parameters here, shoulders here, nose there, ribs there, hips there. And it's like, at first it feels like, well, I'm just picking on the horse, or it can feel like I'm trying to make the horse do this if you're not used to doing it. But if you know what the picture is you like to see, the feel you'd like to see, say from the saddle, feeling the hind leg compress, feeling them soften, and then knowing how to find, like you said, that active neutral in yourself to go, there, that's it. You found it. I didn't make you do that, even though there were lots of
But it's still
elements of more than not that. The horse then comes across it, maybe by chance at first, but then because you've come to active neutral. I don't know. What do you think? I say very frequently, and maybe this is just starting out, and I work with a lot of people that are just starting out. I frequently say one of the hardest things, but most important things in horsemanship, is to learn to modulate your energy and go from pleased, active, neutral to energy up and intensity, maybe not super intense, but whatever it takes to bring all this life up, and then go right back down, and then bring it up the next moment. Like, you have to train yourself to do that, particularly if you're, on one extreme or the other as a general way of going. Either you're kind of a high strung, high energy, never slow down person, or the kind that, is just kind of calm and quiet and doesn't really ever in life get kind of strong. So, I mean, you can't do much in terms of communicating with the horse effectively down to, yeah, there it is. Oh, that's not quite it. There's intention and energy in my body. You can't do much communicating with the horse when they're right, when they need to search a little bit more, without doing that. And yet that is really hard to train your body to do that, because it's not a mechanical
well, it kind of is, but it's like,
well, but it's more an energy thing, rather than put your arm here, use your flag in this way, because putting your arm here or using your flag this way, whatever, all of that, if it's not tied into the change,
that's what I was talking about at the beginning of talking back and forth and sussing out that it wasn't the technical thing, it was the presentation. So yeah, absolutely. And I'm getting ready to teach this beginner clinic next month, so that'll be really interesting. But it is one of the very first things that I taught Oliver. But
Can you differentiate between when you're asking, when you're neutral, and when you're done with that movement, whether that be stop or go do something else or whatever? You have to an end to that. But yeah, the active neutral is, if you don't have that, you're screwed forever. And so with Deanna, she's been riding since she was a kid, and she has so many good things going on, and she's been around Buck forever, so she knows a gajillion things. So I was like, oh girl, when you get this one idea that you are then going to overlay everything, like 1,000 things are going to get better all at one time. I'm so excited for her.
Yeah.
So yes, I definitely do think, even if a person can't do it, but that's exactly what I was talking about, is intellectually then understanding, okay, I have to have a neutral. And this is yet another thing that I feel like I have to ask the student sometimes, and you guys in Wisconsin know that I've done this with you too, is like, so are you neutral? Because I have to ask, because I might not know. Because sometimes a person's like, well, my legs are moving. It's like, yeah, because your legs are short compared to that horse, so the barrel's moving. But you have to know, are you asking or not asking? And the other thing I had mentioned is that if you get control of your mind and you know, I'm asking, now I'm neutral, now we're done. That's sometimes easier, not easy, easier than trying to manufacture it in your body.
Just, yeah, letting it happen in your body because of the state of your mind or the focus.
But it's not easy, because you are thinking about technique and all of that. But that was part of my job, I felt like, as a coach, to set someone up to where they understood the technique. And now you have to apply it in a horsemanship-like manner.
Yeah. Yes, and yeah, I think of numerous examples, specific people where it's like, just thinking it. It's like you can think something, but it's like, yeah. And I did this for a long time. You know, like, okay, yeah, you told me to think about that. I'm thinking that, but I'm not really like, it's like this passing thought in my brain that I'm like, yeah, exactly. Or it's like I'm too focused on something else, or too intent towards something else, or too uncomfortable in some cases, particularly people that are, you know, their upbringing or their personality just doesn't exert or assert themselves. Like, you can say, think that, but if everything in them is fighting, I shouldn't be doing this, this doesn't feel right. Like, there is some level of, you know, I'll say, put the horse away, like, to where you're not feeling like, I can't do this to my horse. And now I'll just practice going from a standstill to, like, I'm putting a lot of effort into something, like, some way. Let's get you to bring that enthusiasm up. Or other people, like one person I was helping yesterday, that who will remain unnamed, is like, you're hearing me and you're saying, yeah, I got that. It's like, but no, slow down, you don't. You're just saying you do. So, like, I could say, put this in your brain, and they're like, okay, yeah, I got that in their brain, but they're not, like, it's way back here, and they're saying, I've heard you, but I'm not trying to do that. Partly because that's just not the way 100%. They do anything in life. Nothing slows down that much. Nothing, you know, causes them to bring up that much energy. So it definitely has to start with the mind, like, but it's, you know, get to the mind through the body, get to the body through the mind, like how it's all intertwined. There's times where I feel like you have to help someone feel that in their body so they can appreciate it in their mind. And that's not always easy to do. And I'm not saying I'm great at it, but there's times when we have to separate you from the situation to help you not be so caught up in what you're doing. And in this case yesterday, oh, I know what I'm doing. You know, they're kind of almost arguing with me, saying I'm already doing that. It's like, well, but you're not getting what I'm saying then if you think you're already doing
That's
it.
100%.
Yeah.
It's kind of, you know, you got to let a person struggle against themselves at a certain point. And you know that you and I have talked a lot about that whole, well, let the student ask the questions, or, you know, basically don't help them. I hate that. I hate that.
Mm-hmm.
But
I don't like that. Yeah.
At some point, if you've gotten down to the nugget of what is going to get them to the next step, like you've explained it, this is the next piece, and they're like, yeah, and then you just gotta like let them go off and struggle, and then they're gonna go, it's not working. It's like, well, are you doing what we talked about?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it takes a couple times of being convinced that nothing else is going to work. And then you come back and you're like, yeah, but this is it. Or speaking of this is how they do it. So one of the gals was like, this is how I do everything in life, is like, you know, and I love that about her in so many ways.
Yeah.
But then I was just like, you know, it was a little bit of the shrug of the shoulders, like, yeah, but this is horsemanship, and you either get with the program or you don't.
You either adjust or you
and it's
hold
like,
it where
I know
you are.
You want this because you're here listening to me, of all the people that you could listen to. So, but this is why horses make us better. Because it is what it is. Right? Corey says, talk about the horse filling in, but yes, the mind part can be easier than getting all the body parts to cooperate with my mind. Exactly. I guess what I just meant is you don't have to manufacture your neutral if you think, okay, now I'm flowing along.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like, I think you have to be, like you say, kind of take it or hold it in your mind. You have to intentionally go to neutral. But I kind of feel like that is, unless you're caught up in the moment and fraught or worried and kind of reserved and held back, and there's just some kind of emotional disconnection, I feel like finding neutral, active neutral, a little harder, but finding a neutral is easier than coming out of, well, this is how I operate and everything's kind of quiet and like I have a hard time asserting myself, to I need to assert myself. My horse is pushy. He's not a little puppy. I have to be assertive and say, look, this is my space, and that's really uncomfortable for me. Or the opposite, like bring it way back down, still have some presence, but feel of your horse. I feel like the fluctuation to me is harder than just let it go, unless you got that emotional, which, like I said, we talked about, I've had plenty in the past. They're just like, well, it's hard to find neutral when you're.
It's so the perfect face. Oh my gosh, and it's fun.
And that was definitely when you say,
there's nothing else I can.
I'll just leave you with that. Like, there's nothing more I can say. Well, you work that out for the next 6 years.
The only thing that I have different than I did 6 years ago is credibility. It's not a different message, or a presentation.
No. Well, yes, it's not a different message, but it's not, to me, or at least for me, it's not credibility. It was all me.
Well,
It had
what
nothing to do
convinced
with
you
you.
to try, though?
it wasn't slowing down. You know, exactly. I'm talking about the person that's like running like a chipmunk. Not that I don't think I've ever run like a chipmunk, but there is that. It takes time.
Okay, so my question though, were you convinced you needed to do it and then it just took time to execute it? Or my perception, oh, okay.
Yeah. Like I know what you're saying, I get what you're saying, I believe what you're saying, but I can't get myself to do that physically or mentally. Because I go to do it, and whether I believe you or not, like, and it's still the case in a lot of ways. It's like, I believe this, but I fall into doing this or getting my body, like Corey just said, to cooperate with what I know and believe. So to me, there wasn't, I mean, it's kind of like you were saying, you're here. Why would you be listening? You know, you must want something different. Otherwise, why would you be here listening to me of all people? You know, that was always this situation.
Yeah, except for I guess I was thinking though that it was like, it's interesting just now to bring it back into the present. Lisa's reminding me that it's almost 7:30, which I do see. Thank you. But I guess what it is important to delineate those two things as we're teaching too, is like, is that person not believing that that's important and like, yeah, I've got that part, but I need something else that's going to make this work, right? Versus, okay, I know this is the piece I need, I just can't quite get there right now. Because I definitely feel that from students at times, certainly in the past, where I would say like, this is why this is important, and then sometimes people would be like, yeah, but tell me what actually is going to fix it.
Yeah, and I mean, I can see where that's how, I mean, there was maybe shades of that in, I'm thinking of however many
10 almost, I
years
think.
back in
10. I think of the time
with
Dina and when Sam was 10 years.
Yeah. Well, or well before Davina in Omaha, whatever, the Midwest clinic with Katniss.
Madison.
The clinic from, the clinic from hell.
I get to go to that clinic this coming month, so I'm excited.
Oh, really?
Yes, you
should go too. Then
let's do that.
There's much going on. Anyway, whereas like, okay, yes, but I can't get that to happen. Yeah. And I said that to you the other day. I mean, for goodness sake, where it's like, I believe you, I know this can work, but I'm not getting that result. So tell me more to help me understand or
those are two different
execute. Understand and probably more execute. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I can see it work.
But that's why I'm saying the back and forth, the question of like, okay, so are you feeling like you're doing it and it's just not working? Are you feeling like you don't understand what to do? Like, that's why those questions are important, because they're two different things. Do you understand what to do clearly and you just can't get your body to do it yet? Or are you not believing it's important, or, whatever? Because there's times when you could think, okay, well, I'm trying to do 3 different techniques. I'm trying to do 3 different things, but really you can only up level one specific thing at a time. And like, this is the priority. This is what you should be chipping away at, which is not always the case. Yeah. For instance.
And if your brain is if your brain is going, yeah, that's important,
Yeah.
but your brain is still caught up in, well, this is also important and I haven't let go of this element, it gets in the way of adjusting that more important thing. Because adjusting that more important thing requires shedding some other thing that we maybe haven't even put words to. Or you're not in the mental, emotional place to let go of that, right? Whether it be bringing up more energy or leveling yourself out or just getting rid of the pressure and angst you're putting on yourself. Yeah. What
No, I
did
haven't. There's
Lynn say,
two we
or
need
did
to
you
read.
already read this? Sometimes our habitual perspectives act as dust on the mirror that the horse is offering us. It takes us some time or maybe frustration to realize that we are accidentally blocking the feedback.
And then sometimes when you get the feedback, it's still like, oh, this is going to take me some time to change. And that's okay. Nobody said it had to happen overnight.
And like there, you did the, so it can be, but I'm letting go and letting loose of that, or, and then it just gets fraught and tense. So it really, I think, comes back to, and this is what we were just talking about, and what kind of you have to believe, but you have to understand it too. Like you were saying, Corey, I think now like really gets this, and Corey's like, yeah, I think I understand what you're talking about now. I think we're there, and that is we're really truly setting it up and letting the horse find it. And if that is the mindset behind everything, and you really appreciate that and believe that, then that can be a little bit more, but we're going to get it. I have to let go of this feeling like I got to make it, because that really is not and cannot be a part of things. But if that is still a part of things, you can say, I want this, I believe you, but I've got to make this happen, right? Some part of me feels like there still has to be me making it. And it is a pretty damn subtle thing, because you are setting the parameters tighter or, more precise. What was the word you used a moment ago? Exacting. So, and then Jean said, that's why being grounded physically and being in the present moment is a good place to begin. Yeah, she and I were talking.
Without a doubt. I think what's super cool, Jean, is watching the horsemanship help a person to get there, rather than the person even necessarily having the wherewithal to arrive at the arena that way. And I think that's where horses are just incredible. Yet another thing I'm super curious about Feather, because I don't know how the mule is. I'm not for sure how much responsibility we have compared to a horse, where the horse does so much for us. Like, we almost just have to show up and barely have the right attitude. And they'll just, hold our hand through the whole thing. Realistically, when we think about it, like, that's basically what happens. So I'm curious, just as a side note, how much the mule, does the mule do that too? Or are we supposed to be like so perfect that then we get with the mule, and then the mule at this some magical high level teaches us some other shit? I don't know. Well, do you know what I'm saying though? The horse, because you can be such a hot mess, but if you just try a bit, then the horse will help you. If you don't try, you're toast. But if you try a bit and at least listen back for the feedback,
No. But if you try a bit and you're trying I've got to get
even
this.
then you're going to get shaped because it won't work. So you're getting,
but it might take a hell of a long while. Coming to something neutral and just letting it shape you is kind of tall order.
100%.
I
And
think,
depending on the
for a
day,
lot.
and depending on, how much you believe. Oh,
The level of distraction is a huge one for me when you got, so many other things drawing your mind elsewhere in
yeah.
the moment.
And it just comes and goes even during a session at times. But so the other thing we didn't get to talk about, and we're gonna have to wrap it up, but is, so I wanted to show these guys about folding, the horse really folding up to change direction, because that's so critical when it comes to bending off of the inside rein, turning loose longitudinally off the inside rein when you go to ride, when you do your nose arcs, when you do your short serpentine. It's super handy on the ground to really have the horse truly folding up without sticking their nose out or doing anything weird. So Bonnie is very turned loose to the flag, and she's super bendy anyway. But I got the coils down to try to see if I could make it a little bit harder, which it was just a tiny bit. She braced a little bit, pretty subtle, but these guys are dialed in so they could see it. And then after a few more times, then all of a sudden her skull was hanging there in a way that was beyond what she even looked like turning loose. It was so cool that you guys all could see it. But one of the guys asked, so you're driving, right? And I was like, not really. So imagine I'm just doing hindquarters, forequarters with the coils. And my note was, yeah, but not really, because she's going. She's going. And so all I'm doing is directing her. And so the difference between driving and directing is a thing. And
you can be in active neutral and be direct.
And then if they don't go under your direction, then in this particular case, yes, you are driving. But that's a similar thing of like setting the front of the rectangle and letting the horse find that place right at the edge of it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to forget about those two things, because that is right up our alley in terms of semantics, and yet crucial.
Given we have to run, both of us, we really should write notes about things to talk about next time, because today is a day of all days that we should be going an hour and a half to 2 hours, because Val just brought up something interesting. You just brought up something interesting, which, you just are mentioning there, but there's a lot more we could say about that. I got this fjord that things are coming along great, but transitioning now to from the saddle, angles are slightly different. Can we get that curl up and bend to, it's on the menu, it's there, but how many times do you ride a horse and their initial thought, or maybe not their first thought, but not too long down the way, they go, well, maybe I don't need to bend, right? What if I just lean on this? My goal is to not have that be at all close to the top of the menu, which where we started, it was at the very top of the menu. So, helping her get that as they transition into the snaffle and riding. Interesting. And then, I mentioned some of the horses I'm working with right now, her being pretty malleable and willing, but fairly extreme, like I said, in what she thought was the answer. And then the other horse we were talking about a couple of weeks ago or last week that's dangerous. Discouraging is that put them in the owner's hands and they go right back, like right back there. And then it's almost like we've talked before, the betrayal of, you were going to support me, I wasn't going to be there, or I didn't have to go there, but now this seems the most logical thing to do because there's so much pressure, or because, and not by ill intent, like the owner's not trying to do anything wrong, but the horse, like Val just said, if you're trying a bit and just listen for the horse, listen for the feedback, dot, 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 the horse will meet you there. Well, it does depend on the horse, and it depends on your technique to a degree in how you present yourself. Because you could be trying to do that, coming fairly open, trying to adjust technique based on what someone's coaching you to do. And that horse is going to be less apt to go, well, you seem different and open. Let me consider. Yes. But then as soon as you increase pressure, if it's not pretty feely and pretty accurate, they're going to go right back to their, what was at the top of the menu. That's not maybe quite so far down the menu as you'd like it to be at this point. So.
Understanding the fact that the cues, that just the same person on the end of the lead rope is going to trigger certain behaviors just because that's part of the signal, really, to do different things. But yeah, we should talk more about it, although semantics, but I would almost say, Val, that I disagree. I know what you're saying, that some horses don't fill in for people, but I think that those horses in the end will fill in for a person, because none of us are perfect. So they're filling in all the time. Anyway, I totally get what you're saying, though.
Well, it's a matter of how exacting those parameters are and how effective you are at setting some parameters so that they want to meet you.
I think that, and maybe I didn't say this right before, but I guess what I'm saying is, if you show up and try a bit and don't give up, the horse will change you, even if you're not getting anywhere with the horse. Because if you don't give up, you're going to keep looking for answers. You're going to try to figure some things out. And in the end, that will change you. Might take a while, but maybe it'll really change you. Anyway, but I do see what you're saying. Oh. Okay, so we need to make notes. Do you have time to talk today? Because like I said, I'm going to bring my notebook. Debbie is probably.
I'm going to try. It will be later today because I have boot camp till 3:30, which is well within the amount of driving you have to do, but it'll be
cool. Well, we'll try to make some notes, because I think it's lots of interesting things to talk about, and we're still 15 then it's over. But anyway, we both have to go. So yes, I would just say that we've said Noah's Arks like a million times in this show. And if you're curious about what the hell Noah's Arks are and would like to see an example, you can go to Horsemanship Insider, use the link in my bio here, and get the free trial and just go straight to Skill Builders and Noah's Arks. Then at least you can watch those videos. And if you want to cancel at least you can check it out, because we keep saying it. Nobody knows what the hell it is. At least you can watch the description.
It's like every week we have to, re-explain what it is so they know what we're talking about if they didn't catch the show before.
Why join Horsemanship Insider? Well, so you can know what the hell we're talking about on the show every week. So, oh my gosh, Lynn says have a great fun getting with Heather. Have a great trip, Joanne says. Yes, thank you all very much. And I am going to try to do some stories today as we're traveling along, just for fun, on Instagram stories, so you guys can check that out.
I'm going to too. All kinds of stories coming out from me today.
Yeah, and do you have more boot camps coming up that you want filled, or you're full for the rest of the year, right?
I never know that because I don't look at it frequently. I know there are spots in some of my clinics. I'm sure there's a boot camp spot or two, but it'll be hit and miss. I think there's some in November, which is, people are always hesitant in this part of the country to sign up for something in November because it's always a question.
So, but it's michaelsparlinghorsemanship.com, right? Yeah. And then my clinic schedule, I showed you that, is at horsemanshipclinics.info. But Michael Sparling, because yours, once they're gone, your spots are gone. So michaelsparlinghorsemanship.com. Check that out if you're want Michael to explain it to you in real life with your horse. Yep. All right, you guys.
Yeah.
Well, everybody have a good week, and we'll see you next Thursday morning at 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Bye, everybody.
8:30 Central.